Mr. Shiv Khera, thank you so much for being on Inside Scoop with us on ITV Gold.
Thanks a lot.
Mr. Khera, it is with immense pleasure I have you on the show today because in this show we really try to look forward to bringing forth some perspectives, some ideologies, some tips, some advice to really dig into what really it means to be South Asian and what is that impacts our community. You as a known author and a motivational speaker from Indian descent who is now also living here in the US, you represent a body of a personality from both cultures, and you have interacted with over 20 different countries with so much other diversity, and you are someone that's known to really help people and motivate them. So on the show, we thought what better to start but just digging into what it really means to have a perspective and to also get your insight into what it really means to be a South Asian right now and what are the problems that are impacting the community. So on that, I really wanted to dig in and bring forth this topic that we are discussing these days, especially amongst the South Asian youth, which is fear of losing. With so much competition, with so much participation happening from everywhere, we're often seeing so many of us, especially in these unconventional fields, often go through areas of uncertainty, disheartening, as well as disappointment. Your book, You Can Win, has been known for bringing forth some tips and knowledge to how to really win that kind of a fight. So just starting off the show, fear of losing. For you, what does that mean? And when you look at your book, such as You Can Win or You Can Achieve More, how do you incorporate those ideas into really helping people?
Well, you got two questions built in, Aditi. One is competition, and second is fear of losing or fear of failure. Let me share with you one at a time. See, one is competition. When I do programs in many countries,
right,
invariably, especially the younger generation, they ask, what about the competition is so rigorous, it's so strong outside, how do you handle the competition today? Now, I recall I was doing a program for a very mixed group. It was a doctors, engineers, attorneys, accountants, carpenters, plumbers. It's a very mixed group.
Right.
And I kicked off my program by saying, never in the history of mankind has it been so easy to succeed in life the way it is today. Never has it been that way. And regardless of your profession, we have no competition. So when I repeated myself twice, one person from the group got up and he asked me, how come we have no competition?
Right.
So I asked him one question. I asked him, tell me, how many people do you know walking off the street right now who are willing to do a little bit more than what they get paid for? Answer is what? Hardly any. Most people don't even want to do what they get paid for. There's a second big category of people who only want to do what they can get by with. There's a very small fraction of people who are willing to do a little bit more than what they get paid for. And I asked him, if you fall into that category,
right,
I don't care what your profession is, tell me, where's your competition? You know something, Aditi, you can't even find a good attorney today. You can't find a good accountant today. You can't find a good carpenter. You can't find a good plumber. Question is, are you willing to do a little bit more than what you get paid for? Now, if you look at the life histories of most people who have succeeded and then sustained success and sustenance of success, and built and maintained goodwill, they all have lived by one principle, and that is, I shall always give more than what I get to my family. I shall always give more than what I get to my organization.
right,
I shall always give more than what I get to my customer. And I shall always give more than what I get to my society. And tell me, if we live by this one little principle, tell me, where's the competition? In fact, we become the competition. We have no competition. And there's a survey done by Gallup in the US which said 63% of people who go to work, they're disengaged, which means they don't do their job. An additional 24% are actively disengaged, which means they make sure that others also don't do their job. What does it mean? That leaves only 13% of people who go to work actually do work.
Interesting.
Now, tell me, is that not an integrity issue? It is an ethics issue. See, which means what? There's a world of a difference between making money versus earning money.
Right. But are you saying
No,
that
wait, let me finish.
Yeah.
Making money is crooked. Earning money is spiritual. Bottom line, it comes down to wages without work amounts to stealing.
Right.
So it comes to an ethics issue. And if we live by this one little principle, I shall always give more than what I get. Tell me, where's the competition? We become the competition, we have no competition. So that addresses your one issue.
So are you saying that there is enough success because when you do try to do more than what you are capable of doing or what you have the capacity of doing, you're just always aiming for some success or some other success in that aspect?
Let me address your second point where you said fear of failure, because
Right.
they're tied together.
Exactly.
If you go back, you see the World Cup football is going on right now.
Right.
I think give or take about 12 or 16 years ago, the French were the reigning champions then. And they got knocked out in the first round. First round, the champions got knocked off. And when they lost the match,
Right.
one of the players said, there goes my contract. My contract will not be renewed. And there was another team which was not considered to be at the same world-class level. It was the South Koreans. They reached the semifinals, couldn't hit the finals, but the way they played the game, they won the heart of the world. Now here's the difference. See, one team at that time, when he said, there goes my contract, he was playing for the contract.
Right.
Whereas the South Koreans were playing for the country. See, here is the difference. See, one team was playing not to lose. The other team was playing to win. See, when you play not to lose, you play out of desperation. When you play to win, you play out of inspiration. This is the difference between the people who seek success
Right.
versus people who avoid failure. Success seeker versus failure avoider. So we have to go positive, which is called proactive. Proactive. Go ask a medical doctor.
Right.
Absence of ill health does not mean good health.
True. That's actually true.
See,
Yes.
proactive, you ask a person, are you good? They say, yeah, I'm good. But you ask them what makes you good. And they'll tell you, I don't steal, I don't cheat, I don't tell lies, so that's what makes me good. Not true. If I don't steal, it means I'm not a thief. That doesn't make me good. If I don't cheat, it only means I'm not a cheat, but that doesn't make me good.
Right.
If I don't lie, it only means I'm not a liar, but that does not make a person good. I repeat, medical doctor will say absence of ill health does not mean good health. Similarly, absence of fault does not make a person good. A person becomes good when they actively do good. That is called proactive. That is the difference. So here's the difference to answer your question. People who avoid failure versus
Right.
people who seek success. That's the difference.
So when you look at our population, especially when you look at South Asian millennials, such as myself, and you see us struggle with those concepts, and you sometimes see us, even at times not even know what is the perspective of certain things, what do you advise to them?
Well, Aditi, it is not your generation. Even our generation didn't have the definitions correctly either. So many of people in our own generations,
Right.
they struggled, and they did. I remember when I came from India, I go back almost 43 years
Right.
ago.
You went to Canada first?
We had coal mines, they got nationalized, went to Canada, started life with a bucket in my hand, washing
Right.
cars door to door, gradually started selling vacuum cleaners in the evening, and then got into selling life insurance totally by default. And I was literally on the verge of being fired from my company. And selling life insurance is all 100% based on commission. You get no salary.
Right.
And bottom line is, that's the time I realized I attended a program by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, who wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking, going back 43 years ago. And that's the time I realized that many times why we fail, we become our own biggest problem. And our problem is our attitude, our own attitude. Think about it, Aditi. Okay. How come under the same set of circumstances,
Right.
some people break records while others break themselves? How come?
True.
Identical circumstances. You know something, nothing changes outside. Something changes here and the direction in the life changes. And from there, I realized that many times we become our own biggest problem. And besides, when a person fails, they become negative thinking,
Right.
and then they start looking at every issue as a problem, not as an opportunity. And then I realized that problem is a sign of life. Problem is a sign of life. And so long as we are alive, we will have problems. And the day we don't have problem, we'd be dead.
Right.
So bottom line is, we cannot solve all our problems, but we can handle them. And that day, Dr. Peel gave a prayer, which I've been using for the last 43 years. And that wasn't his.
Right.
It was somebody else's 2,000 years ago. It is called the Serenity Prayer. I bet you might have heard of it.
Serenity Prayer, I think I have, yes.
Yeah. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change,
Right.
and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference what I can and what I cannot.
Right.
Now think about it. If you analyze this little prayer, it's literally the gist of life. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Is everything within our control? Can we change everything in this world? Answer is no.
Right.
There are some things beyond us. I didn't choose my parents, neither did you. I didn't decide where I was going to be born, neither did you.
Right.
See, granted, some people are born deformed. What wrong did they do? And sometimes bad things do happen to good people for no fault of their own. If this is the color of my skin, there's nothing I can do about it. Bottom line is, many times in life, we keep fighting the things that we just cannot change. And we bring stress into our lives and we go backwards. Our productivity goes down. Yeah. And hear this, and the next part is, if I can change, give me the guts and courage to do it. And give me the wisdom to know the difference. Now, this little thought that I heard 43 years ago, I took it one step further in my book, You Can Win, which said life is full of choices,
Right.
and life is full of compromises. Seems like a contradiction, but really not. See, Aditi, if I ill-treat you, I've chosen to be ill-treated, haven't I?
That's true.
If I treat you with discourtesy, I've chosen to be treated with discourtesy, haven't I? If I light up a cigarette, I've chosen to invite cancer, haven't I?
That's true.
You see, if I am honest, I've chosen to become trustworthy, haven't I? If I lie, I've chosen to become untrustworthy, haven't I? So keep in mind, if I eat too much, I've chosen to be obese. So keep in mind, life is full of choices. Now, there's a caveat, and the caveat is, we are all free to the point of choice.
Right.
But after we make our choices, choice controls the chooser, we have no more choice.
That's true. Because the choice has been made.
It's gone. It's over. It's
You
beyond
already
us.
have the results.
That's
so now
right.
the results are going to speak.
And that's right.
And you don't matter at that point.
And when we say there are some things beyond, and they are. So in life, as somebody said, we cannot choose the cards that are dealt to us. What we can choose is how we play the game.
So just talking about the game, I want to bring in one of your most popular quotes on Google and everywhere, which is, winners don't do different things, they do things differently. The first time I ever heard about you, that's the quote that actually showed up. And that's what I thought was one of the most interesting aspects because I think it says a lot, you know, where it's not really about always doing something different, it's how you do it. And then when I wanted to sort of bring it in with your book, I had this question for you, and I'm so excited to ask you this question right now. And my question for you is, what are we winning? And how do we win this?
Well, to answer that, let me answer or explain the quote that we have, which says, winners don't do different things, they do things differently. And many times people ask me, what do they do differently? And my answer is, winners form the habit of doing things losers don't like to do. I repeat, winners form the habit of doing things losers don't like to do. And what are the things losers don't like to do? They're the same things winners don't like to do either, but they do it anyway. See, losers don't like to get up in the morning. Winners don't like to get up in the morning either, but they get up anyway. See, losers don't like to work hard. Winners don't like to work hard either, but they work hard anyway. They form the habit of doing things losers don't like to do. And you see, the positive behavior to them has become a reflex action. Go check out, I don't care how old we are, our parents said one thing, form good habits, and habits form characters.
Exactly.
Because 90% of our behavior is what? It's habitual.
Exactly.
We don't think, we just act. And if we have positive habits, we are a positive character. And if we have negative habits, we are a negative character. And good habits are hard to come by, but they're easy to live with. And bad habits come easy, but they're hard to live with. And before we got the habits got us. Think about it. Now, just how many times have you heard people talking like this? This person is just lucky.
So
Every
many
time he
times.
touches dirt, it becomes gold. And this person is just unlucky. Every time he touches gold, it becomes dirt. Go check out this little statement. Analyze it. The person we call lucky, analyze their life, analyze every transaction in their life. The positive behavior has become habitual. Every time they do it, they just do it right. It happens right. Their reflexes move right.
Do you think they're attracting the right thing? Is that what you're trying to say? They're attracting something positive?
If we have to think to do the right thing, we can never do it right. It must become a reflex action. It must become reflexes. And the person we call unlucky, every time they touch gold becomes dirt. Analyze their life, analyze every transaction in their life. Negative behavior has become habitual. Every time they do it, they just do it wrong. Their reflexes are moving wrong. Have you heard the phrase which says, practice makes perfect?
Of course, yes.
Do you think it's true?
I believe so,
Okay,
yes.
absolutely incorrect. It's not true.
You don't think so?
No, not at all. See, let me share with you an example. Practice does not make perfect. Practice only makes permanent whatever you practice.
That is true.
See,
That's true, yeah.
only perfect practice makes perfect. Some people keep practicing their mistakes and they become perfect in making mistakes. It only makes permanent. And I'm not playing on words, Aditi. I'm not playing on words. Go look at people in martial art. When they get the white belt and the yellow and the green and the purple and the brown and the black belt, 5 years later, after they got the black belt, they're learning what? They're practicing what? Block, punch, block, punch, block, punch. What they learned when they got the white belt, they're still practicing the same thing 5 years later when they get the black belt. Why? Because the teacher wants to bring the block and punch into reflex action. Because the teacher realizes that if the student is ever in a street fight, if he has to think to block and punch, guess what will happen? He'll get beaten up.
True.
A martial arts student never ever has to think to block and punch. They never commit their blow till you commit. After you commit, their reflexes move so fast.
So what do you propose?
Okay, my bottom line is why I'm bringing this up. Practice does not make perfect. Practice only makes permanent whatever we practice. And how we form negative habits. See, many times people tell little lies and they say this is a white lie.
Yeah.
And when the big one comes, I'll tell the truth. You practice enough lies in life, in little things, when the big one comes, what happens? We end up telling a big lie. Are you with me?
Yeah.
That's what became permanent. Many times people say, when the big one comes, I'll show courage. You practice cowardice enough little things in life, and the big one comes, what happens? You end up being a big coward.
Of course.
See, remember, take home, practice does not make perfect. Practice only makes permanent whatever we practice.
So what do you think the youth right now should practice, or people in general that are dealing with issues of success and failure? And also to talk about success and failure, I had another question. We often use this term grind. You know, you have to grind to get there. You know, you have to work hard, you have to want it. But then what would you say when certain people say that it's not only about the grind, that perhaps certain people say that it is that luck that you need in the end, some push. Perhaps you might have the best credentials in, you know, all of the qualifications for a perfect job, and perhaps you might not have that luck. So how would you address that?
In my new book, I've answered that. And you can achieve more. It says, a person with a positive attitude cannot be stopped. And a person with a negative attitude cannot be helped.
True.
Think about it. Now, let me continue the last part, which said, you asked me to explain the phrase, winners don't do different things, they do things differently. See, one, I said, they form the habit of doing things losers don't like to do. There's a second thing winners do, and that is, they always put in that extra effort even when it hurts. I repeat, they always put in that extra effort even when it hurts. I'll give you multiple examples. The greatest legend in martial art was who? Bruce Lee. Yeah? Now, if you read, I've given that his story in my book. Bruce Lee's one leg was 1 inch shorter than the other. Most people don't know it. His one leg was 1 inch shorter than the other. 2 mm, 3 mm can disalign anybody, but 1 inch shorter than the other.
Huge difference.
Yeah. And his eyesight was -10. He could not see his opponent without lenses.
Wow.
And Bruce Lee practiced 5,000 punches per day for a decade. And Bruce Lee said something beautiful, which I've mentioned in my book here. He said, I'm not afraid of a person who knows 10,000 ways how to kick. He said, I'm afraid of a person who knows only one way to kick, but he's practiced that one way 10,000 times. That's the one I'm scared of. You know something? 1 inch shorter. And he did it. Now, he did it in spite of problem, not in absence of. He had a problem.
Right.
And he's not the only exception in this world. Michael Phelps. He broke Mark Spitz's record 36 years later, and at Beijing won 8 gold medals.
Right.
And most people are not even aware that 2 years prior to the Olympics, Michael Phelps fractured his hand.
That's true. He did.
2 years prior. Go check out anybody for that matter. Steve Jobs. His speech at the Convocation Center at Stanford, I believe, he said, I came to this world unwanted. The day he was born, he was put up for adoption. Nobody wanted me. Amazing. Look, you go any success story in this world, there is a story of failure behind it. Series of failure behind it. But you know something? When we hear life stories of people like this, anybody for that matter,
Right.
even Bill Gates was a dropout. So if you look at anybody's life history, we need, it literally compels us to redefine the word success. Success is not absence of failure, it is overcoming failure. Success is not absence of problems, it is overcoming problems. Michael Phelps had a problem. He had a problem. So did this guy. He had a problem. And success is not measured by how high we go up in life, it is measured by how many times we bounce back when we fall down. That is success. And success is not measured by how we do as compared to others. Success is measured by how we do as compared to what we are capable of doing. Go check out athletes. They compete against themselves. They never compete against others. They constantly break their own record. And that is success. You know something, sadly, most people were not even clear. And we're looking for answers. Look at this. So many questions. We're looking for answers. And sadly, most people don't even have the right question. How are you going to get answers when you don't even have the right question? So this is where we need to come back and learn. As somebody said, knowledge is power.
Right.
But learning and implementing is superpower.
Mr. Khera, right before we let you go off the show, I have one last question for you. From all the discussion right now about finding success, figuring out certain problems, understanding what it really means to be us, for you and just in your perspective and opinion, and that's my last question for you, how do you describe a wholesome, happy person?
A wholesome, happy person? I did a little introspection on that. In my opinion, a wholesome, happy person is one who has good health, wealth, and good relationships in life. These three things. See, to be a happy person in life, we need to be physically strong. Physical strength gives us what? Stamina, sustenance, endurance.
Right.
Without physical strength, what do we do? Nothing. Okay. So if you got everything else in the world and you're physically not up there, well, you got nothing in this. So one, we need physical strength. Two, we need financial strength. People who say money is not important, in my opinion, either they're stupid or they're billionaires, that's all. So money is important. You know why? I'm not saying money is the most important thing, but it's important.
Of course.
And people who say money doesn't get you happiness, well, poverty doesn't get you happiness either. And if I have to be miserable, I'd rather be miserable with money than without money. And I've learned one thing in my life: money in good hands does good in life. Money in evil hands does evil in life, always. See, I feel it's a moral obligation of a good human being to become millionaire, multimillionaire. You know why? In their hands, money will always do good. Third strength, you need to have mental strength. Mental strength is your positive thinking, your willpower, that also gives you sustenance. Why would Bruce Lee do 5,000 punches a day? Did he want to do it every day? No, he didn't want to, but he still did it. They form the habit of doing things. See, you got to do it mentally. And 4 is your emotional strength. You need emotional strength. Emotional strength gives you balance in life. See, when you are emotionally weak, you get taken in by moods, whims, fancies, and you're taken in. And when you are emotionally strong, you can understand your own emotions. You can understand other people's emotions. And then if you understand your emotions, you can control your emotions and you build connection with other people. And people who are emotionally strong, you can trust them. People who are not emotionally strong, you can never trust them. The same person, they're imbalanced people.
Right.
The same person is all sugar and honey to you today, and the same person will catch your throat tomorrow. See, you cannot trust people, and trust is the foundation of it. So you got to be emotionally strong. And people who don't have good relationships, they're emotionally bankrupt. What good is it? And the fifth strength that you need in life is spiritual strength. Spiritual strength is our moral compass, which shows the right direction in life, to what to do in life and what not to do in life. And there are some do's and don'ts in life. That's what keeps us on track.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Shiv Khera. I know I learned a lot through this right now, and I'm sure the viewers here also gained a lot of information. Thank you so much for being with us on ITV Gold.
Thank you.
I'm
grateful.
Our show.
I'm grateful. Thanks a lot.
Well, this was none other than Mr. Shiv Khera, author, entrepreneur, and India's one of most recognized motivational speaker, someone who really tried to help us understand the perspective of life, success. We hope that our viewers enjoyed this as much as we did over here in the studio. Stay tuned on to ITV Gold for a lot more Inside Scoop. I am Aditi Lamba, signing off.